Chapter 1. A Childhood in Poverty. In a small, forgotten town, surrounded by dusty roads and broken houses, lived a boy named Daniel. Poverty was not something he learned later in life. It was the first thing he ever knew. He was born into a family where hunger was common and hope was rare. Daniel's father worked as a daily laborer. Some days he earned a little, some days nothing at all. His mother washed clothes for wealthy families to earn a few extra coins. Their house was made of weak bricks, and when it rained, water leaked through the roof. At night, Daniel could hear his parents whispering about debts and unpaid bills. While other children played with toys, Daniel played with broken stones. While others dreamed of becoming doctors or engineers, Daniel dreamed of one simple thing: a full meal for his family. Many times, Daniel went to sleep hungry. His stomach hurt, but what hurt more was seeing his mother cry silently. Poverty shaped him early, but it also planted something powerful inside him: determination. Chapter 2. The Pain of Being Poor. School was another battlefield. Daniel wore the same torn clothes every day. Other children laughed at him, calling him the poor boy. Teachers ignored him because he could not afford books or uniforms. One day, during lunch break, Daniel sat alone while others ate. A boy mocked him and threw bread on the ground. Daniel picked it up, cleaned it, and ate it. That moment burned deep inside his heart. That night, Daniel promised himself, "I will never let poverty control my life forever." But promises are easy. Life is hard. Chapter 3. Early Struggles and Hard Work. At the age of 12, Daniel started working after school. He cleaned shops, carried loads, and helped mechanics. His hands became rough, his childhood disappeared, but his spirit grew stronger. Every coin he earned went to his family. Still, it was never enough. His father fell sick, and Daniel became the main earner of the house. Many people told him to quit school forever and accept his fate, but Daniel refused. At night, under a weak candle, he studied borrowed books. He believed knowledge was the only door out of poverty. In a small town where most people followed the same routine every day, there lived a young man named Armand. He was quiet, patient, and often overlooked. He didn't speak much about his struggles, but inside him lived a fire that refused to die. Armand came from a poor family. His father was ill, and his mother stitched clothes to support the house. From a young age, Armand learned one harsh truth of life: nothing comes easy. While others spent their evenings resting or laughing with friends, Armand worked part-time jobs to help his family. Many people told him, "You are wasting your youth. Life is too hard for dreams." But Armand believed that hardship was not a punishment, it was training. He woke up before sunrise every day. After work, he studied late into the night. There were days when he felt weak, days when failure followed him closely, and nights when fear whispered, "You can't do this." Still, Armand kept going. One day, he failed an important exam. That night, he sat alone and questioned everything. But instead of quitting, he opened his notebook again. He wrote one line on the first page: "I will not stop until my efforts speak for me." That sentence became his shield. Years passed quietly. No applause, no shortcuts, just discipline, patience, and consistency. Slowly, results began to change. Armand passed the exam the next time, then another. He earned a respectable position through honest work and dedication. The day Armand brought his first real success home, his mother held his hands and said, "We never heard you complain." Armand smiled and replied, "Because complaining doesn't change destiny. Effort does." People who once ignored him now asked for advice. Armand didn't boast. He only shared one lesson he learned the hard way.
Strength is built in silence. Dreams grow when you water them with effort, and success comes to those who refuse to break. Armand understood that life doesn't reward loud wishes, it rewards quiet persistence. He was not the fastest, not the luckiest, but he was the most consistent. And that made all the difference. From that day on, Armand walked with confidence, not because life became easy, but because he became strong enough to face it.
Rashid Khan was not a famous man. No one wrote stories about him. No one invited him to speak on big stages. Yet, every single day, he carried a weight heavier than most men ever would. He was a father. At exactly 5:30 every morning, Rashid woke up before the alarm rang. His body already knew the time. Years of responsibility had trained him better than any clock. He sat on the edge of the bed for a moment, rubbing his tired eyes, careful not to wake his wife and children sleeping in the same small room. The ceiling fan made a slow, tired sound, just like him. Rashid quietly folded his blanket, stood up, and went to the washroom. The mirror showed him a face that looked older than his age, lines on his forehead, slight gray in his beard, not because he was weak, but because he had been strong for too long. He wore the same iron shirt he had worn many times before. Middle-class men don't throw clothes away easily. They make them last, just like they make themselves last. Before leaving, Rashid looked at his children sleeping on the mattress on the floor. One had a school bag near his head. Another clutched a broken toy car. His youngest breathed softly, unaware of the world waiting outside. Rashid whispered to himself, "This is why I don't stop." Outside, the street was still quiet. Rashid started his old motorcycle. It coughed before coming alive. People laughed at that bike sometimes, but Rashid trusted it more than people. It had never failed him on the road, just like he had never failed his family. Traffic, noise, pressure, his day had already begun. At work, Rashid was just another employee. No special chair, no praise, no promotion for years. His salary arrived late more often than on time, but Rashid never argued. He believed something deeply. A father's duty is not to complain, it is to provide. At lunch, while others talked about phones, cars, and vacations, Rashid quietly ate his simple meal. His mind was busy calculating school fees, electricity bills, groceries, and medicine for his wife's back pain. Numbers followed him everywhere. That evening, when he returned home tired and silent, his children ran toward him, smiling. That smile erased his entire day's pain. "How was school?" he asked. "Good, Abu," they replied. That was enough. Rashid sat down, pretending he wasn't exhausted. He listened. He nodded. He smiled. Because fathers don't bring their tiredness home. They leave it at the door. And that was just one day in the life of a man who never rested. Because too many lives depended on him. In a small village surrounded by dry fields and cracked roads, there lived a man named Hassan Ali. He was not a rich man. In fact, he was one of the poorest in the village. But there was one thing Hassan Ali was rich in: patience. Hassan woke up every morning before the sun. His hands were rough, his back slightly bent, and his face carried the lines of a man who had fought life silently for years. He worked as a daily laborer, sometimes at the fields, sometimes helping villagers with repairs, anything that could earn him a few coins. Despite the hardships, Hassan had a heart that never hardened. Children loved him because he always shared the little he had, and even strangers could feel his warmth. Yet deep inside, Hassan had a dream he never spoke of, a dream that one day he would lift his family from the endless cycle of poverty and provide them with a life of dignity. That morning, as he stepped outside, the land carried a promise of change. Birds chirped above, and the sun painted the horizon in shades of gold and orange. Hassan took a deep breath and whispered to himself, "Today will be different. Today, I will find a way." He walked to the village square, where men were gathering for work. Today, he hoped to find something unusual, some task that could make a real difference in his life.
Little did he know, the events of this day would set him on a journey far beyond the cracked roads and dusty fields of his village.
Hassan wandered through the village, hoping for a chance that might change his fate. As he passed the narrow lanes, he saw Fatima, a widow, struggling to carry a basket of vegetables to the market. Without thinking, he rushed to help her. "Thank you, Hassan," Fatima said, her eyes reflecting both exhaustion and relief. "You always have a kind heart, even when life has been cruel to you." Hassan smiled faintly, his thoughts elsewhere. "It's nothing, Fatima. Maybe helping today will help me tomorrow too," he replied. By mid-morning, Hassan reached the outskirts of the village, where an old, abandoned factory stood. Rumors had long whispered about its treasure: hidden tools, old machines, and sometimes even forgotten sacks of grain. Many villagers had dared to enter, but most left discouraged, haunted by darkness and fear. Hassan, however, felt a pull he could not explain. Something deep inside told him this place held more than just physical treasure. It held opportunity, knowledge, and perhaps a door to the future he had always dreamed of. He stepped inside, his feet crunching over broken glass and dust. The factory smelled of rust and old wood, but Hassan's eyes were drawn to a small, locked room at the far end. Its door was covered in cobwebs, as though no one had dared enter for decades. With effort, he pushed the door open and discovered stacks of old notebooks, papers, and faded blueprints. He flipped through them, his heart racing. They were designs for farming equipment, water pumps, and even early machines meant to ease labor in villages like his. Hassan realized something astonishing. The knowledge in these pages could transform his life and the lives of every villager around him. But he also knew that understanding them wouldn't be easy. It would take patience, dedication, and perhaps guidance from someone who had once built these machines. As the sun dipped low in the sky, Hassan carried a few of the notebooks home. That night, while his family slept, he studied by candlelight, determined to learn every detail, every design. He knew this was the beginning of something much bigger than himself, a journey from the dust of his humble village to a destiny he had only dreamed.